I got so many confusing things. I got this. It's live. This is later. A performer is going to come up here and explain how synthesizers works for the trans members of our audience. You can go to the bathroom during that part. It'll be review. What is this? No one has claimed this. Is this mine now?
Yes. Yeah.
How are we looking? Continue? Cool. We're at folks! Hi. What? This is not... My head's stupid. Hi, welcome to Genius Night. Yay! Now you applaud again. That's your job. I have to move this over so I can do the slides. You'll work with me here, won't you? You're so nice. Folks, thank you all for coming out. This is amazing. We always love Genius Night. I love when there's people here. If there weren't, I would be absolutely devastated. And I don't know how it would go on. So I am going to be your host for tonight, Tom Harris, and I'm going to do a thing at the beginning. We're going to have 4 solo performers come up and say some shit and play this thing. It's live. I'm sorry, I have to not. I'm going to be doing only that. Sorry. I'm clearing my mind. And then we're going to have a bracket debate at the end, and it's going to be great. And you're going to love it. And you're going to go home, and it won't even be late at night, which defeats the whole purpose of the title of the show. I mean, even more so than the fact that it is so day. It's the dayest it's ever been. All right. Should I start my stupid thing? Do you want to hear my gags? All right. My gags begin now. Folks, we at Genius Night, we like to make you a genius. It's our goal, really. And we love to do this, obviously, by telling you new, incredible information and exposing you to powerful new psychic techniques. But part of being a genius is knowing that you can't know everything. Folks, the world and society as we know it is going to change dramatically over the coming years. Now, I can't know the shape of the rough new world that is struggling violently to be born, but what I can do is just identify some points where you can expect the changes to come. Number 1, the computer! These days, it seems like almost everyone logs on to their family computer. From electronic mail, to pornography, to gambling, to driving yourself fucking insane. These kooky machines have something for everyone. Does anyone here, and I'm asking for real, does anyone here own a computer? Hell yeah, hell yeah. Now, show of hands, for those of you who own a computer, is the computer you have now the first computer you've ever owned? Woo! Is that real? No, it's you, dude. You're being funny. So, okay. That's what I thought. That means that everyone here is familiar with the following circumstances. You're using your computer to send an electronic mail or view some pornography, but then, oh no! Your computer no longer works. It's broken, or it's really slow, or it's not capable of running the modern gambling programs you enjoy. So you go to the store and you buy a new computer. Your current computer then becomes your old computer. We all know this. We've all done this. You're never going to do that shit again. There is no more old computer. Your current computer is your last computer. Thank you. If your employer has provided you with a Lenovo ThinkPad computer for you to use at your work, you are experiencing a scenario that will be looked at in 100 years as though your boss at the hog fat rendering plant gave you an enormous jewel to just have around the house. So I don't know if you've heard of this, folks, but there's this thing called AI. We don't like that, do we? A dozen rich guys who collect personality disorders like their Pokemon cards decided that this is going to be the only thing computers do from now on. All the parts inside computers that you used to purchase at the store, they are now all going into data centers. Big buildings that fucking kill you. So the main upshot of all this is that now everything is just so expensive. Here's an illustrative anecdote from my own life. I purchased two 16 gigabyte sticks of RAM manufactured by the company Crucial for use in my personal computer on August 17th, 2023, which, fun fact, 260 days after the release of the first public version of ChatGPT. These two sticks of RAM cost me $52. $52, note that. Now, how much do you think it would cost me to buy these two sticks of RAM today? Anyone have a guess?
$117.
Not quite. Closer, but we're not there yet.
$10,000.
We have a genius in the audience. It's a trick question. It's impossible to buy this product. Crucial no longer sells products to human beings. They sell, oh my God, they sell 100% of their stock to larger strategic customers in faster growing segments, which means AI companies. That's bad. Folks, boo that, please. And I know I just tricked you with my trick question, but if you are curious, 32 gigabytes of RAM today costs $240.
DDR4.
Yeah, because they had to be equivalent to the Crucial ones.
Well, no, but yeah, not even DDR5. Jeez.
It's bad. So you may be wondering, why would they do this? What is the point of doing this? It is clear to me that the agenda is to render PC ownership impossible. All computing will be performed in the buildings that fucking kill you. And you will not have a computer, but you will have a device that just displays what the computers in the data centers are doing, and you will pay a monthly subscription for the privilege. And of course, if you've paid for a tech subscription in 2026, you know, and say it with me, guys, it's great. Of course, it's not all doom and gloom. Here I am talking about doom. It's not all doom. If some of you might be like me, and you might like to use your computer to play video games. Who likes video games out there? Yeah, we got some nerds. So the part of the computer that makes the video component show up on the screen, arguably the most important part of a video game, that's called a graphics card. And the best graphics cards are made by a company named NVIDIA, which is one of the most profitable companies on Earth. So obviously, with all their resources and expertise and manufacturing capability, plus the incredible financial resources they have on hand, they are just absolutely churning out like crazy top quality video cards that are at an affordable price that anyone can, sorry. This is embarrassing, but I'm actually getting a call from HQ. I hate to do this, but they get really mad if I don't answer, so one second. Boop, 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 boop. Hello? Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually talking about it right now. Oh. Oh. Uh-oh. I'll call you back after I'm done. Forget I said that last part. Now, some of you might be saying, Tom, you millennial ass, I don't need a computer, I will simply use my phone. Bad news, asshole, the phone's a computer too. All this shit applies to them also. So what do we do? What do we do in this awful scenario? What's the next step? Sorry, Donna. I think the answer is clear. Right conclusion later. I don't think I was supposed to keep that in. Okay, we're moving on. Second change to look out for. Costco took the Grillo's pickles away. You can't get Grillo's at Costco anymore. I don't mean to blow this up into a bigger thing than it is, but the West has fallen and society is over. Where are the Grillo's? Where'd they put them? I look on every single shelf and the refrigerator. There's no Grillo's. Now I've heard some actually say this, that Grillo's pickles are overrated. Can you believe it? They say this. They say the pickles are bad. They say the brine, too astringent. The garlic flavor, too harsh. The grape leaf they put in every jar tastes weird. Now I will admit that this is a valid opinion. However, people who believe this should be put in camps. Another way that things will change in the future is that comedians who are doing a bit and they can't think of a third example, or honestly, second, will just abandon their premise halfway through and do some other shit. That is happening now. So recently, I wrote a perfect joke. Now, I don't mean that it's the funniest joke ever written. I just mean that it is perfect. By which I mean any change, no matter how small, will diminish it. Now, when it came to me, it was like I was seeing the face of God. And this is really important. Because you see, folks, I am actually extremely bad at writing jokes. Oh, Tom, don't say that. You're so funny. I know, that's true. Yes, you're right. But I'm not talking judgmentally here. This is objective fact. I am funny in the sense that I can yap and go on and on. That is very different from writing a joke. My co-host on Anime Sickos podcast. Yeah. My co-host on Anime Sickos podcast, Joe, he can write a joke like nothing. 2 lines max, and it's the funniest thing I've ever seen. I don't know how he does it. I don't have it in me. The shortest unit of writing I deal in is the paragraph. So, you can imagine that when I made the perfect joke, I was I'm experiencing one of the most impactful moments of my life. When you hear my perfect joke, there will be a fucking pop in this room like you wouldn't believe. You will laugh, and it won't be oh, Tom is... I want to be positive and help Tom out. Yay! No. You will be howling, and you won't even know what's happening yet. This is a promise. I would like to share my joke with you now. Can you support this? Okay. So first I gotta do some background. For ages I have wanted to go to the restaurant Armitage Ale House. Say what you will about Reddit, and there's much to be said, but I go on R Chicago Food regularly because it is full of rich people who go to the restaurants for me. Every restaurant has some haters on R Chicago Food, but one thing that seems to meet with universal acclaim is the sticky date cake from Armitage Ale House, which is regularly cited not only as Chicago's best dessert, but one of the best dishes in the city, period. This is not part of the joke or the setup. This is just me reporting the facts to you. That's not hype. This shit is fucking unreal. You have to go eat it. Oh my God, this is a picture I took myself. It's gorgeous. Okay. So getting a reservation at Armitage Ale House is insanely hard. Finally, I'm lucky enough to get one. I go there, and I have not eaten anything all day, because to me, nothing could be worse than if I eat a dinner and I'm too full to eat the dessert. Imagine not being able to eat that. Just kill me. Turns out, also, part of why reservations are so hard to get is this place is fucking tiny. It has no space inside for anyone to sit or even stand while you wait for your table to be ready. So everyone who's waiting there has to stand outside, just kind of milling around the door. This is also, I didn't know this is a 100% preps restaurant. There were were a bunch of dweebs with gelled hair and tweed jackets that were way too big. I thought they were just Lincoln Park civilians. But then I saw them taking food at the tables. Additionally, there were some Deus Vult-looking motherfuckers who kept trying to push bribes onto the hostesses, which prompted me to speak these following words aloud. If they seat these fucking date rapists before us, I swear to God. Which I said, frankly, way too loud. I don't think the people in question heard me, but everyone else did. But that's neither here nor there. We get seated and we have to order. Now, folks, I have been laser focused on the dessert. The dessert's not, I was going to point to the dessert, but it's the preps. I was laser focused on the dessert, and I have not looked at the menu at all, nor even given any real consideration to the fact that I have to eat dinner, other than to cast it as an obstacle I have to overcome in order to not be too full for the real food, which is the dessert. Okay? So the waiter tells us that at this place their specialty is the pot pies. Now, to me, a pot pie sounds good as hell. He does warn us, though there's a warning that comes. The pot pies will have a beef bone in the center, like sticking up out of the middle, as pictured in the following picture. A bone. Now, he does this so that if someone doesn't like bone marrow, they know not to order one of the pies. It makes sense. If someone hated bone and they got a bone in a historically non-bone dish, they would be very mad. Now me, I have never had bone, but I know some people really love bone. And I'm feeling brave, so I say, hell yeah, brother, slide you one of them bone pies. I've seen a couple of these pies getting served, and the bone is as pictured. It's like this big, it's small. You have a couple of bites of bone marrow with the funny spoon they give you, and then the rest is a normal pot pie. If I don't like the bone, big whoop. So here's the facts, folks. I get my pie and they gave me the joke bone. So a normal bone, it just goes up and down like normal. The joke bone has a flared base. Now I'm not saying that I would do that with the bone. But if I did, I would be safe. The joke bone takes up conservatively 70% of the interior volume of the pie. Also, turns out, I think bone marrow is nasty. Not good. Yuck. It's like eating spoonfuls of pure liquid fat. That's not accurate. It's not like that. It's exactly that. I get maybe 3 bites of actual pie filling in this entree, and all of them taste exactly like bone fat. Now here's the thing. You went, oh, I'm actually not mad at all that this happened, that they gave me the joke bone. Here are the reasons. 1, I wanted to save room for dessert. Mission accomplished. 2, I knew going in I was going to have a bone experience. They literally warned me. Number 3, I bet if you really loved bone, getting the joke bone would feel like you won the lottery. So I hold nothing against the Armitage Ale House vis-a-vis this experience. But when I reflect on this, I have to wonder, why me? Why did they pick me to get the joke bone? And when I reflect on this, I can only think one thing. And here comes my great joke. I must have looked like grunge's biggest what if, the way they thought this mother loved bone. So, Tom and Sarah McHenry, a major part of why this piece works is that no one responds to that, frankly, incomprehensible joke. But I just have to say thank you so much. I will continue as though there was total silence. Okay, I think I have to explain one more thing. Oh, I was supposed to do that when I said that. Okay, it's 1988. We're in Seattle, Washington. Now, historically, this wonderful city has had little impact on nationwide pop culture. However, the local rock music scene in recent years has developed a unique mixture of punk rock and heavy metal that local record labels believe has the potential to break into the national mainstream. The Seattle label Sub Pop Records coins the term grunge in an attempt to distinguish the new Seattle sound and render it more marketable. Well, now you, of course, know with the benefit of hindsight that the grunge became the dominant form of pop music for a brief time, its most famous success being, of course, Nirvana's 1991 album Nevermind, which sold 30 million copies worldwide and changed pop music forever with such iconic singles as Smells Like Teen Spirit and Bloomin' Lithium, which are still staples of rock radio to this day. But of course, Nirvana is just one band of many. For those in the know, there was another group in the Seattle scene that was widely considered one of the premier practitioners of this new sound. Their lead singer, pictured here, their lead singer, Andrew Wood, was a bona fide rock star, a flamboyant, charismatic, gender-bending performer with a powerful melodic voice. To see Andrew perform in his group was to see the future of hard rock in America. Major labels agreed, signing the band with the expectation that their debut album, Apple, would be a nationwide smash. If the rest of the country felt even a little bit the way that Seattle audiences did about this group, they would be one of the iconic bands of the 90s. This album was about to go through the fucking roof. However, just weeks before Apple was released, Andrew Wood was found dead from a heroin overdose at age 24. This is not the kind of frontman you can just replace. With his death, the band was over. And Apple did okay on the charts. It wasn't a flop, but with no way to tour and the band already broken up, the commercial potential was basically zero. The guitarist and bassist of this band, however, did go on to form another band, which you may have heard of, Pearl Jam. Woo! Yeah. But to those who remember those early days, who look back on grunge's reign over pop music with nostalgia, the question always comes up, what would have happened if Andrew Wood had lived? How big could Apple have gotten? How many more classic albums would they have put out? Could this group have been as big as Nirvana? Bigger, even? We'll never know. What if? The name of this group was, of course, Mother Love Bone. So, once again, I must have looked like grunge's biggest what if. The way they thought this Mother Love Bone. That's my perfect joke, thank you. All right. Got our next performer coming up to the stage. They are, you'll be shocked to hear this first part, a musician, podcaster. Their podcast, Radio Free Tote Bag, rules so big time. And I would say that even if I wasn't a fan favorite guest and streamer, and honestly is kind of goated in a way. Please welcome to the stage Donovan Eyre.
Do the switch.
Did it work? It's gonna take a bit. It kind of like needs to
We did it.
Yay, go for it.
How's it going, everybody? Thanks for clapping. I'm going to talk down here at the beginning because I have to fix something. A cool thing about this Genius Night performance is that I am a genius in two ways. Number one, I've been playing synthesizer for 3 years. And as the one like shitty tech guy said, if you do something for 3 years, you're like an expert or whatever. Yeah. But the other thing I'm a genius at is fucking up Tom's set a little bit by having a bunch of shit in the way. And I'm sorry for that. I'm going to be explaining what a synthesizer is. As soon as I figure out how to make it duplicate the screen. Hold on. How do I do this? Mirror. Hey! We're so back. And a kind of a third way in which I am a genius is that I just figured out how to do that. And we're moving this, and that's now visible, and we have the slides here. What is a synthesizer? Does anybody play synth? Hell yeah. Don't say anything if I get stuff wrong. 3 years is not that much time. I'm not an electrical engineer. I don't have like a music background professionally. But I did figure out what these things are, and I got really into them. That's a picture of me holding a little Casio synthesizer, and the question marks represent, like, what is this? What is this thing? So let's start here. I played clarinet growing up. I played... Wow! Big pop for the clarinet. We got some Reed fans. I played clarinet for a bit. I played guitar. I was not very good at either, despite doing it for some years. And I don't know, I think it was just the wrong instrument for me. So I gave up on music for 8 years there. But the whole time, though, I'm listening to electronic music. I love electronic music. And I was like, I want to make that, but I don't. It may as well be magic. I don't understand how it's made. Then I have friends who play synthesizers. They're making electronic music. And in my head, I'm like, oh, a synth, it's a piano that sounds like the 80s. It's a piano that sounds like fucking 80s songs at DX7 stuff that you know. But no, that's not what a synthesizer is. It's actually like a lot of things. This is the most text we're going to get on screen, but here it is succinctly. An electronic musical instrument that generates audio signals. Synths typically create sounds by generating waveforms. They may be altered by components such as filters, envelopes, low-frequency oscillators. We're going to get into what those are. And they're typically played with keyboards or controlled by sequencers, software, other instruments. The keyboard isn't like an essential part of it. It isn't just an 80s piano. In fact, synths can take a lot of different forms. Here's a few of them. You got a mini Moog. That's like one of the original compact, reasonably affordable at the time, kind of synthesizers. A synthesizer can be a computer program. It can be completely in software, like this one. It can be a big, crazy, modular, like spaghetti cable mess. And the guy from Toto can be plugging stuff in. That's on the Wikipedia page for synths. I think it's very illustrative. Then we have a couple other ones. We have this right here, an ASM Hydrasynth keyboard. But we also have that thing up there that's actually like the same synthesizer. It just doesn't have the keyboard. You can control a synthesizer with a wide variety of things. There's even a controller that has the fingering of a clarinet. You could play a clarinet and make it sound like a synthesizer. That's pretty cool. Let's look at how they work, though. Don't laugh at this. This is a signal flow diagram. It's very intuitive. You see it for the first time and you're like, this is nonsense. This looks like a manual page that like my uncle had when I was younger. He was like an engineer or something. It's fairly basic though. We're gonna break it down. We got an oscillator, a voltage controlled oscillator that's making a tone. It's gonna go through a filter. That's gonna go through an amplifier. It's gonna output the sound that it's making. And then those things can be modulated by LFOs and by envelopes. A keyboard can be activating what notes are happening, and the gate, which is just on or off, can be like turning on or off the envelopes. Let's get into what those things are. Who here likes a waveform? How many waveform heads we got out there? Whoa. Tag yourself. I kind of like a square wave, I think. There's a few things you gotta think about waveforms. Electricity is waves. Waves are everywhere. Sound is also waves. What if we turned electrical waves into a sound wave? We could do that with a synthesizer. The frequency of the wave, how quickly the waves are coming through, that determines the pitch. If it's within our hearing range, say it with me, we can hear it. I love it. That feels so fun to do on stage. The shape of the wave is going to determine tone. Now let's go over to the live demo. I tried to set up the camera. I was like, they're going to be able to see what I'm doing. That's fucking inscrutable, man. You can't see anything, but I'll try to explain as we're going. So we saw these waves before. These are some basic wave shapes. Sine, square, triangle, sawtooth. Let's go through and listen to them. This is a sine wave. We've maybe heard this before. This is a triangle wave. Similar, but it's a little bit different, but it's a basic little tone there. We've got a saw wave. That's got some stank on it. There's some more stuff happening with that. And finally, we got a square wave. Oh, listen to that. But if we were just gonna go here and go, that sounds like a fucking computer or something. It sounds like a microwave. And within your microwave that beeps, probably it is just like a oscillator. The whole thing with synthesizers, we take these original waveforms we were looking at and we can build them into really whatever kind of sound that we want. What else did I put in these slides? Here's where filters come in. I need to put this on here for this. Let's go back. Let's keep the square wave going. There is so much more to this also, and I was adding details, and I was like, it's too much for this. If you're interested, read more about it. I'm trying to make this as limited as possible. Let's listen to this sound. There's the square wave. We're closing the filter on the square wave. What's the filter doing? It's cutting off the frequencies. In this case, it's a low-pass filter. It's cutting off the frequencies above where this cutoff frequency is. If we're looking at this, we're hearing this stuff. We can't hear this stuff out there. And by moving this, that's a little more interesting than just the tone. If we put resonance on it, that's a sound we've heard before in like an old sci-fi movie or something. If you have heard a filter suite before, it's pretty cool. Waveforms can do other things besides sounds. If they're slow waveforms, if they have a low frequency, like a low frequency oscillator, you can't hear them, but they're moving up and down. Now that filter sweep we did before, where we went, I could sit here doing that. I could sit here turning the knob over and over again, or we could modulate the cutoff with an LFO, the wave going up and down. Now when I press the key, a wave, in this case, I think it's a sine wave, might be a triangle, it's going up and down. It's opening and closing the cutoff. We could make it faster. Do all kinds of things with it. A little basic changes like that, changing what modulates what, you can get interesting sounds happening. Another thing that can modulate things is envelopes. Have we heard of attack, decay, sustain, and release? These are words that are like my best friends. a band called Simian Mobile Disco that put out an album called that in college. I was like, that's a cool collection of words. Turns out they just looked at their synthesizer and were like, oh, dude, we can use these as the title of the album. It's the shit that's in an envelope. Where the LFO before was just going up and down, the attack is the period of rising. We're making like a more complex wave, basically, but with a starting point. It doesn't loop. The decay is as it declines, as the key press is held. Sustain is where it stays as you hold down the key. Release is where it trails off as you end. Quickly. Tom, how are we at on time? Forgot to start my timer. We're going to make, and you should be able to see this, but again, the camera's messed up. We're going to make the attack go up for about a second. We're going to make the decay drop for about a second. We're going to have the sustain at like half volume. We're going to have it drop off there. And now the filter is going to follow the pattern of the envelope. I should turn off, though, the LFO that we were doing before. Okay, get ready. I think I didn't do it right. Don't worry about that. It's supposed to happen, actually. Is it doing it now? I haven't done this like live in front of people before. Maybe we'll do envelope 2 instead for the volume of the thing. And a release. There we go. It came in kind of. It dropped to a lower level. And then it hung out for, well, 88 milliseconds, so that wasn't really audible at the end. You get the idea. You get the idea. Finally, with whatever tone you make, there is FX. And I'm not talking about the TV channel or whatever. It's Always Sunny, and I think it's the only show I can name. This is like doing stuff to the final sound that you have created. If you've seen like a guitar player with effects pedals, it's the same deal. There's like reverbs where you're emulating the sound of like what's happening now. My voice is coming through the speakers. It's bouncing off the walls a little bit. It gives a spatialness to it. It doesn't sound so much like just kind of something in a void. If we turn up the reverb, you can't really hear it too well on there. You kind of could. You got to hear for it. It gives it a little bit more of a it's in your space. Or delays are going to give it a... we're replaying repeated copies of the initial sound that we played. So something like, we're going to hear it a little bit there. We want to bring this down and attack down. Oh. Well, that's not doing a very good job. Imagine it working, and that would be really cool. I could try to switch to a patch where I've done this before, but I'm stressed that it didn't work, and it would probably be a disaster. You can do all kinds of weird stuff with effects, and that's pretty cool. Why do I think this is so neat? Sound design. A clarinet is going to sound like a clarinet. A piano is going to sound like a piano. But a synthesizer can sound like all kinds of stuff. You get to design how the sound sounds. Sound design. That's what's up. And that's how the synthesizer works. Thank you. Check out my music. I make interesting sounds usually. That was tough to do on the fly for illustrative purposes. Also a podcast and a stream. DonovanEyre.bandcamp.com. Radio Free Topeg. Tom has been on there. It's great. It's a dating advice show. We watch Frasier sometimes also. Or I stream at twitch.tv/DonoHell Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Central. We watch garbage like Eliminate, a terrible show from the 2000s, like a dating show. It's a hoot and a holler. That's all for me. Thank you. Now I gotta break this thing up.
I gave Donovan 2 demands when he pitched this to me. One was, you gotta put joke. It can't just be that. Put a joke in, so ding. And also, it can't be 20 minutes. That's 15, folks. Wonderful. I was instructed to vamp while the teardown occurred. from India. He ended his career in finance one day when he lost all the data he forgot to save on an Excel sheet and realized he didn't care. Is that all it takes? I never cared about any of the Excel sheets I worked on, and I did that for years. This led him to become a storyteller, and since he's taught workshops for the WHO and the University of Chicago, he is a 5-time Moth Story Slam winner. If you need anything to be done regarding moth stories or getting slammed, this is the guy to go to. His stories were recently played on NPR and WGN-TV. His one-man show, Suitcase Stories, played at the Steppenwolf Theater and Second City. Please welcome Jitesh Jaggi.
No slides, use your imagination. When they said you could grow up to become whatever you set your mind to, they didn't mean white. And yet I grew up in India bombarded by ads for a skin cream called Fair and Handsome, a counterpart to the Fair and Lovely that my sister already used. I couldn't wait to get rid of my wheatish for the more fair and thus handsome complexion. The word fair has two definitions: lightness in skin and impartiality in judgment. These, I would learn, are not coincidental. They are linked. Exactly 100 years ago today, a very brown Indian man stands in front of the US Supreme Court judge and tries to prove that he is actually white. Bhagat Singh Thind, remember this name? Bhagat Singh Thind was appealing to save his citizenship, which was revoked 4 days after he was granted it in 1923. Denaturalization, as absurd a concept as a river being asked to flow back after the sea is done using it. Thind came to this country to study philosophy and paid for his education working in lumber mills among other Indians who did similar labor-heavy jobs. Their growing numbers in the 1920s had started to get the attention of newspapers, who dubbed this wave of brown immigration as the Hindu invasion or the dusky peril. Want to know the actual number of Indian immigrants in the entire country when this supposed invasion was happening? 8,000. More people attended Burning Man festival last year, yet no newspaper wrote about the musty peril. Councils started forming that would prevent these immigrants from becoming Americans, even as they contributed their blood and sweat to building this country's infrastructure, the most insistent being the Asiatic Exclusion League. Asiatic Exclusion League. Racist organizations used to have honor. Right in the name, they told you what they were all about. The fuck is a Proud Boy? The first time I heard of the Proud Boys, I thought it was a merry gay gathering in Andersonville. Imagine my shock when I Googled them. It was still a gay gathering, but they were not merry, considering what they did to the Grindr servers. Now, Mr. Thind hired an Indian lawyer named Pundit, which also happens to be my Instagram handle. Smash that subscribe button. Now, Mr. Pundit, he studied the precedent of another citizenship case of a Japanese immigrant. His name is Mr. Ozawa. Now follow along, okay? Now this guy he wants to prove to the Supreme Court judge that this can happen. So he goes back in time and picks another case for a Japanese man. His name is Mr. Ozawa. Now, Ozawa lived in America for 20 years before applying for citizenship. He argued that because he spoke English, converted to Christianity, and was light-skinned, he was practically white. The judge ruled that race, not the fairness of skin, was the reason for rejecting his 20-year-long awaited application, ruling that Mr. Ozawa was still a Japanese man and thus classified him as Mongolian, a term that makes me want to do backflips on the judge's grave. Now, Thind, our Indian man, saw in this case that white was defined not by the fairness of skin, but by the arbitrary classification of race. So he went on to argue that he was actually Caucasian. Actual scientific proof, including skulls, were shown showing that the geographical territory that is known to be the Caucasus, a region where people spoke an ancient Indo-Aryan European language, includes indeed northern India. The court rejected his appeal as well, citing that, and I quote, "A free white person is determined from common usage of that term and not applied to a scientific study, and that Thind's children would retain the clear evidence of their ancestry." Hear the words, evidence of their ancestry, meaning the color of their skin. In the Japanese man case, they said, you look white, but you don't come from where we come from. In the Indians man case, they said you may be coming from where we come from, but you don't look us. And we need both. They kept moving the goalpost. So in 1925, the court not only refused to grant him back his citizenship, but they revoked the citizenship of his lawyer and every other Indian person retroactively. That also stripped them of the right to own property that they already held, which they had to give to their white neighbors. Give, not sell. Some committed suicide, having lost both their physical and metaphorical home in one fell swoop. I must add here that Thind served in the US military when the First World War began. He didn't have to. He was exempt since he wasn't a citizen. Yet he volunteered to give his life for a country that would later rule. We don't have enough proof that you are actually one of us and you must leave. Irony is a scratchy record in loop. In 2026, Army Staff Sergeant Matthew Blank arrived on a military base for an overseas deployment when ICE detained his wife, who was born in Honduras but had been in this country since she was a toddler. They had just gotten married a month ago. Irony is a scratched up record in loop. If I could have talked to those ICE agents through their hard plastic gear, reflective sunglasses, and bad breath, I would say that being adjacent to the dominant power feels safe, and yet it also makes you accessible to be exploited first. That your loyalty will only be regarded to the extent that you're disposable, that they will come for you once they're done coming for us. Even your fairness will not save you from being entreated unfair. Ukrainians are considered white in the census, are currently being bombed. Afghanis were considered white in the census until 2024. Did you know that? Still got the Muslim ban. No matter how many commonalities you find, you will never be them. Hell, even the regular white person isn't included in this small club. Remember how they treated Italian and Irish and Jewish immigrants? When they say white, capital W, they mean a very narrow definition of rich upper-class Anglo-Saxon American-born Protestant, patriot, consumerist, conservative, carnivorous, and pedophile apologist for good measure. The percentage of which is so small in this country that it should make the newspaper dub them as the pasty peril. Bhagat Singh Thind ultimately managed to stay in this country thanks to the changing view of immigration in the next few decades. In the mid-60s, he never told his son about his struggles, who found out about much of his court case through media interviews, the same way I did. When I finally applied that Fair and Handsome cream, it gave my skin a terrible rash. Something that itches to this day when I read the news.
Shit! Man, I don't go there. Lincoln Square. store, call it the bookseller. Please welcome Josh Watkins. I don't go up there. That's where weirdos go.
I was on my way to print this at the Sulzer Library in Lincoln Square, and a guy drove badly, and I said, "You fucking suburbanite," and I say that to everyone who lives in Lincoln Square. Fuck you. I usually have a music stand, but instead I'll use my fine trimmers to hold this shit up. Hello, geniuses! Some of you may remember, because Tom just said it, the previous incarnation of Genius Night called The Skewer. For the old show, I was the official, unofficial elections correspondent. Thank you, Tom. We changed it at the very last minute. You might have seen my piece on the gubernatorial race between Bruce Rauner and J.B. Pritzker, the 2019 mayoral race. Sorry, the other one's in the future. The primary run of Mayor Pete Buttigieg. I learned the high hopes dance for that one. Or my debate as a presidential candidate, which I won over the brilliant Erica Dreisbach, thanks only to my Nixonian tricks. Now, I think it's time I dust off my election expert badge, which I did, unfortunately, leave at an all-ages silent rave. But the badge is immaterial. Let's go over the 2028 presidential election. Who's running? Who's rumored? What are their values? Their strengths? Who should be cannibalized or fed to pigs? Who will be stuffed inside the bronze bull? Or drawn and quartered by GMC Denali's the American way? Hold the microphone for this first time in my fucking life. How does it sound?
Looks great.
Most importantly, who will win? Genius Night is sponsored in part by Polymarket. Stop laughing. They listen. Get your spread ready for the big election. For a deposit 20, get 75 promotion, go to polymarket.com and enter promo code TOMCUM. That's TOMCUM, exactly how it sounds. I am obliged to reveal that Donald Trump Jr. is on Polymarket's advisory board, probably because he's really smart about gambling. He's also an investor through 1789 Capital, his venture firm, duh. I assume that's legal. Otherwise, why would it be? Well, all right, you degenerate fucking gamblers, let's win you some money. Woo. Hold on, I gotta do them one at a time. Okay, so some of you probably assume we can wrap up the Republican side of the 2028 race pretty quickly. Who's the nominee? Donald John Boy Trump. Current president, former president, prolific rapist, and poster. But will Trump go through with a third term? I think no. When's the last time you saw a video or image of Donald Trump? Anybody? Okay, how did he look? Did he look rested? Did he look like a man who takes care of himself? How long do you think it would take that man to draw a clock? And would it be a good clock? Now, I'm not saying he will die before 2028. He will never die. But he is so miserable and tired. Everyone on Earth is mad at him all the time, and he's not having fun. You guys remember that picture from his first term where he's sitting behind the wheel of the big rib and he's just screaming like a cherub in the front seat of the truck? That was from the honeymoon term, okay? That shit is over. It is not fun, and he doesn't want to do it anymore. Unless he does run. Fear not. The institutions, which have been doing so fucking well lately, will maybe step in. Polymarket odds coming soon. Now the market is bullish on Vice President J.D. Vance as the Republican nominee. I hear we have some fans here. He's young, he's hot, he's authentic, and so funny, and sort of like a normal guy. He's from Ohio, which is a couple doors down. He respects his wife, even though he thinks she's a pagan bound for eternal hellfire, which, even if that's true, he probably means he intends to join her there in an everlasting embrace. It's kind of like Sweetie Cutie, if you think about it. All right. His approval rating is 37%. Room to grow. People just need to hear and see more of his wet little mouth. They got to hear him go on a Barstool podcast, sponsored by Polymarket, thank you, describing a meme he saw on a fascist Discord server, okay? Let's see him fumble a handshake with a black steel worker, okay? People are gonna love that. Thank God we're gutting our national health system so JD fever can spread unchecked across the nation. You feel it already. Put your money on Vance as the nominee, and here's a tip for me. Polymarket has a high-paying parlay if JD says a slur on a hot mic and then also cries on live television. Okay, who else? What about little Marco Rubio squeezing the life out of the Cuban people between his Wolverine jaws? When I draw Marco Rubio in my mind palace, he's always being eaten alive by huge rats. Big, jacked rats. Like, they're really more like marsupials, you know what I'm saying? And it looks so painful. It's an invasive thought that I neuropsychobiologically cannot stop seeing, but I won't let that cloud my impartial judgment for you here this evening. 60% of Republican voters dig Rubio. Most people don't. If I were Rubio's campaign manager, I would say, just come out. Work with it, brother. People are ready. We need a gay national villain from the right. Better keep an eye on that Rubio and keep your mind's eye on a cage where mutant rodents chew through his intestines while he watches in agony and ecstasy. Jesus wept. Okay, obviously that's all bullshit. The real action is from the Democratic field. Who is the top dog to bet your wages on? Polymarket's top pick is California Governor Gavin Newsom. What? I'm not even done. I haven't told you why he's bad. Gavin Newsom looks like the kind of guy who can relax with a fancy cocktail, maybe explain the finer points of Huey Lewis in the news before disemboweling a woman with a fire axe. But maybe looks are deceiving. Behold his life. He was mostly raised by a struggling single mother, but it's also true that he and his daddy have always been socially and financially close with the Getty family. They made their money in oil, of course, but also Getty Images. All right, maybe we have some fans of their watermarks here in the audience. With the help of some Getty funding, Newsom started opening businesses after college. Currently, he owns 18 of them and is, in fact, a millionaire. Applaud his success. What's wrong with you? Come on. And here's how much the guy likes money. Over the winter, Newsom vowed to defeat a proposal in California for a one-time 5% tax on California's billionaires. And proponents tried to wriggle it down to 2%, and Newsom still said no. Now let me tell you why this is actually brave. Okay, because a Reuters poll from last year said that 86% of Democratic voters claimed that changing the federal tax code so wealthy Americans and large corporations pay more in taxes should be a priority. Okay, well, Newsom isn't a sheep, okay? He carved, with the help of the Getty family, his own path. Okay, what if 86% of Democratic voters said they wanted Medicare to cover the human centipede procedure? Should you just hop on that bandwagon? All right, it's punk rock not to tax billionaires because what? People want California to marshal its vast resources to address its homelessness crisis. All right, the Newsom regime already has a housing first policy for that, okay? Mojave Desert Mass Graves. All right, that's a form of shelter. Voters don't care about money. Newsom has other appeals, all right? How about last fall when he signed a bill opening up thousands of new California oil wells? People love oil. Extra virgin. I use that shit every day of my life. That's cool. All right, get your hands ready for some hot claps. He vetoed legislation banning PFAS from cookware and dental floss. Everyone else is too afraid to admit PFAS tastes fucking good. He vetoed legislation to protect farm workers from heat safety violations and vetoed a bill providing unemployment for striking workers. I'm interested. He likes to say no. But you're gonna dig what Newsom says yes to. Inclusivity. You people eat that shit up, right? Here's Gavin's pitch for a big Democratic Party tent, and I quote from Gavin Newsom. I want it to be the Manchin and Mamdani party. I want it to be inclusive. Sorry, I was kind of expecting more of like a Beatlemania reaction. All right, I think I see the problem. You think he said mansion from the French maison, big ass house. You guys know that word? That's a homophone. Democrats are already the Manchin party. He means former West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin. No, you forgot. Probably most you forgot who Joe Manchin is. They wrote him off of the show a few seasons ago. He's the coal skeleton who hates you. So the Democrats want to win. They must include and venerate the coal skeleton. So there's one other Democratic hopeful that myself and Polly Market would like to analyze tonight. Another man who cannot stop going on shows and podcasts. You've seen him on Megyn Kelly, Bill Maher, Jon Stewart, Hassan Minaj, Barry Weiss, who will not answer our emails about coming on Genius Night, and every podcast from DC think tanks like the Center for the Defense of Sanctions or the Meir Kahane Institute for the Middle East Institute of Peace. Yes, there's one bold operator left in this twisted land willing to look America in the eye and say, hey, bitch, you got spinach in your teeth. Odds are high that he will be the first Democrat to officially declare his intent to run in 2028. You love him. You would know his weathered troll doll head from a magnificent mile away. Former Chicago mayor and future American president, Rahm Israel Emanuel. And that is his middle name. His parents wrote that joke for me. Now, Rahm Emanuel is a unifier. He united Chicago against Rahm Emanuel. And he can unite his party and his country by going on every single podcast, including Anime Sickos. I spent a lot of time on the Emanuel net looking at ROM content. I exposed myself to hazardous levels of ROM for you people. Please be grateful. Profilers of ROM kept referring to him as battle-tested. We can assume the battle in question is covering up the police murder of a child. Much like Gavin Newsom, ROM is all in on de-wokeifying the Democratic Party. And he has been in the lab introducing some potent, nutritious sentences that will make the American voter, all of you, salivate. Here he is, breaking BDS at the 92nd Street Y. Hold on to your polyps, this is Rahm Emanuel. Quote, we spent 2 years talking to the American people about bathroom access and locker room access. And we never focused on classroom excellence. Braka, braka, braka. Those are bars. Where are the applause for Rahm Emanuel? This is 2003 BET Rap City basement Cameron freestyling over Scarface while he counts a fat wad of fucking cash. We never focused on classroom excellence. Rahm knows about schools. He closed a lot of them. All right? Here's some more heat about the state of the Democrats' quote. As I jokingly say, we weren't good in the kitchen table. We weren't good in the family room, whatever the fuck that is. We were only actually ever occupied the bathroom. And it's the smallest room in the house. This is insane. Where are the applause for Ron? And so in all of his media appearances, he has deployed bathroom material. He's obsessed with bathroom. According to Rahm Emanuel, the Democrats went on TV every day for 5 years to say, hey folks, we're abolishing straight monogamy and levying an Ottoman-style jizya on every white American man. And if your kid wants to play sports, they gotta be trans, okay? Which is not how I remember things, but probably I just wasn't paying attention. I went to grad school. Elsewhere, Rom refers to the American people as the, quote, thin blue line. Your guess is as good as mine. Rom says he can tell people in America are yearning to bridge divides because now NATO with AI and really wants to partner up with Africa on mineral resources, whatever that means. But we'll end our analysis on a hot button issue, okay? Speaking to Katie Couric from television, Rom said something that surprised even the polymarket sharks, and it's worth quoting here in full. Quote, "Taxpayer support for Israel purchasing weapons is over. You will be able to purchase weapons just like any other ally with any other restrictions. That's what Germany, Japan, and the UK do. They're about to get their asses whooped in the World Cup. Buy what you want, no restrictions, pay full price, no taxpayer support." End quote. You hear that, Israel? With Rom in office, there will be no more BOGO coupons for depleted uranium shells. No more promo code TOMCUM, TOMCUM at checkout. And if you want to liquefy an entire population with the finest American ordnance, you're going to have to start paying us money, okay? And if you, my fellow Americans, save a little on your tax bill once we're done fully subsidizing war crimes, you'll have a little scratch left over for gambling on polymarket.com. How many more elections until the wheels fall off of this fucking thing? At least one. You can bet on that. Polymarket forever. Genius Night forever. Thank you.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Damn it!
Folks. Who knows? B, you're going first. I forgot what I said you were going to do. Wrigleyville. Wonderful. I'll let you know when to do this. They begin in 3, 2, 1, now.
Okay, raise your hand if you like baseball. That's more people than I thought. Raise your hand if you like the Cubs. Okay, we should sell them. We already have a baseball team. Why do we need two? On the top and the bottom, it just makes a Chicago sandwich. Get rid of one of them. Also, we should sell Wrigleyville because they have bad parking. That's just a period. Also, Wrigleyville, they just built like that new outdoor mall space, which means like it's new, it's modern, it has infrastructure. I know words. Which means that it's gonna have higher retail value when we sell it. There's also that whole argument over the whole ballpark thing. This is a lot of baseball, and I don't know a lot about baseball, but stay with me. There's that whole argument over the baseball park museum. You don't know baseball either. Okay, cool. I was looking at you for help. Where like the apartments around it are like having people watch the baseball game, and the people in the baseball game are upset about this. This was fix that problem. Just sell them. Sell Wrigleyville. Also, to do my research for this, Wrigleyville does not have its own Wikipedia page. Therefore, we should sell them. They also make a medium income of $105.499.02. That's math for you. A bunch of Wrigley historic homes have entered the market at over $100 million. That is $100 million going into the debt. We can just bulldoze all of them and make better ones. Who needs historic buildings anyways? 4, 3, and we should sell Wrigleyville.
I agree with V. Wrigleyville call it Boys Town with baseball. That stadium is being held together with toothpicks. And unless there's a hologram machine to make a Sears Tower-sized Lady Gaga, what the fuck do we need Wrigleyville for? I mean, if Wrigleyville was a drug, it would be ketamine, because you need to be tranquilized to experience it. Are you guys on ketamine right now during my set? What's happening? And Hyde Park, I mean, I get why it would make sense. Historically, we love selling black people. And brown people. What the fuck am I doing here? Why am I speaking this beautiful Queen's English right now? And I also love white-on-white crime. There are no black neighborhoods on here. We didn't even go, definitely no Inglewood. What we get out of that? Like $8? Or East, or, oh my God. And okay, I guess we should sell Hyde Park because we just have that 850 million library. Like that just went up. I'm pretty sure we could get like 840. On the market, you know, and like it was very weird. That was a huge money grab. They were selling $90 hoodies, $90 Obama Foundation hoodies. There wasn't even a picture of a drone on it. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck are we doing selling Hyde Park? I mean, there are a lot of historically, there are mansions in there, and Promontory Point alone, that could be like Dubai Junior. So I feel like there's a lot of money to be made there. And but if Hyde Park was a drug, it would be a blunt, and that's good. That's very earthy, you know, not worth a lot of money. But I don't know about real estate. I cannot believe I've been talking for 2 minutes. Amazing.
Folks, this is the kind of shit you get at the debate, at the bracket. Here's how we're gonna do it. You're gonna cheer for the one you like better. That's it. If you think that the neighborhood that should continue on in the bracket is Wrigleyville, please applaud now. If you believe that the neighborhood that should continue in this bracket is Hyde Park, please applaud now. That's the same, folks. It's the same. Do you want to do rock, paper, scissors again?
Only clap for one.
That's tough. Okay. Her words, not mine. With those new strictures in mind, Wrigleyville, Hyde Park. They both said Hyde Park. That's fine with me. That's moving on, folks. Where the place we are now versus Gold Coast. A coast made of gold. I'm gonna say you do Logan Square, you do Gold Coast, and Sonal, you're gonna go first. Is that cool? Let's do it.
Oh man, we only got to scissors that one time, V. Oh well, happy Pride, everybody. Logan Square, if social anxiety could be sold for capital gain, we would make millions. Unless non-ironic mustaches, pun intended, are worth something, then I don't know how much we're gonna get. Logan Square versus Gold Coast, like, come on, think of all those tokens in the Dave & Buster's. I mean, between the trust funds and the Zionist realtors, there is a lot of gold in Logan Square. How much is that handjob sculpture worth? That's got to be at least a year's worth of parking tickets. I mean, we should preserve handjob sculpture, but if it gets really bad, we can sell that. And for sure, let's get rid of that fucking monument, right? Are you guys big into the monument? That little mini Washington monument? Ugh, get that phallus out of here. Let's get a couple more beans for the flickin', am I right?
We should sell Gold Coast over Logan Square because, first of all, the original Playboy Mansion is there. People would probably pay a lot of money for that. I mean, there's a lot of people in the Epstein files. That's correlation, right? Right? There's also riverfront. I should have written this better. Let's see what it says here. Viagra Triangle. Old guys with young girlfriends, you know what that means? They have money. We should just bulldoze them with Gold Coast. The biggest reason we should bulldoze Gold Coast over all of these other neighborhoods is because my ex-boyfriend's best friend lives there. And fuck him, right? Yeah. Also, Gold Coast has been deemed on the National Register of Historic Places, which none of the other neighborhoods have. And I'm pretty sure it's illegal to do that, which also the law doesn't matter, but it's a point I'm making, you know? Also, there's 9 Gold Coasts in the USA alone. There are 2 Logan Squares. We gotta keep one of those, you know? That's too many Gold Coasts. There's also one in Australia, and I like that one better. It's down under. I can't do an accent. Also, okay, last point is that, did you guys know that the Bears are filming a Hallmark Christmas special there? We can't bulldoze it before we see what kind of shit this is, okay? The Bears and Hallmark are collaborating for a Hallmark special, and we don't know what it is, but we have to see it, right? It's filming soon, in the summer, classically when winter and Christmas is. I don't know why they're filming it in the summer. But my last point, I feel like I've been talking for forever, but your hand's not up. Okay, my last point, remember my ex-boyfriend's best friend lives there, and we don't like him. Boo!
Do a minute of hot bits. Nose go. I want to see this. Like it might be you.
Oh, okay.
All right, 1 minute.
While her ex-boyfriend's friend lives in that neighborhood, her ex-boyfriend lives in Hyde Park. So we gotta get rid of it. And it's so far. Have you ever gone there? It's super far. Does that even count? And Chicago is fucking far. And if the bus is shut, you gotta take the metro to get there, which is a very comfortable train. But fuck that place. Fuck that place. What's the one that I'm fighting? Gold Coast. Wait. Oh, hold on. I'm anti-selling Gold Coast. There's probably millions buried underneath that Museum of Science. Fuck that science. I'm a God guy. I love God. Science and industry are both done. I'm ready to be sold off. I love gold. We must preserve the coast. It's only one of 9.
I'm confused now. I thought you were arguing to sell Gold Coast. It sounded like you made a lot of points for me. My ex-boyfriend lives in Hyde Park. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you argue. I don't actually know how that went. Okay. Anyways, we should not sell. We should sell Hyde Park. Yeah. I feel racist saying this. But what Hyde Park is still predominantly white. It is 40% white. So we can still count as white people. I went on Wikipedia when I got here. 40.7% white, 26.0% black, 16.9% Asian, 8.1% Hispanic, and 8.4% other. Clap for that. I'll stop, thank you. Yeah, we should sell Hyde Park over Gold Coast.
Folks, the thing about the bracket is the real winner is the truth. I don't recall who was arguing for what.
Park to be sold.
Okay.
Yes.
I thought I wanted Hyde Park to be sold.
Yo, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I can't control what you do. If you want to break the rules and collude, that's fine. I was about to say this is a free country, but I mean, I was just talking about the 50 years for distributing leftist scenes, so it's not. If you think it should be Hyde Park, please applaud now. If you think it should be Gold Coast, now. Yo, it's Gold Coast. We're selling that shit. It's made of gold. Obviously, it's gonna have the most value. Folks, that was Genius Night. Thank you to V and Sonal for that. That was so fucking funny. The winner is the truth. You helped the truth be born into this damn world.
I think she won.
Yeah, also you won. Excellent. My Sharpie fell. Thank you all for coming to Genius Night. That's the show. It's now completed. Did you like it? That's amazing. With that in mind, I should tell you that if you want the people who performed in it to get money, there's two ways you can do that. One is to just put money in the donation bucket, which used to be there, but I don't know where it is now. And the other way is just to buy drinks from our wonderful bartenders. So you can do that. Additionally, if you want to go to the next show, it's going to be in 2 months from now on the 4th Thursday, which is going to be August some number, I don't recall. But what you can do is either find that clipboard, write your email down on that, or go to geniusnight.com. There's the clipboard and Sarah McHenry's hands. And that's it. Bye-bye. Show over. Bye-bye. Done.